In today's video, we're going to go over my top 5 hidden tricks and tips in Procreate 5 to help you in your artistic endeavors. Stay tuned. This is Drawing with Mr. J. What's good, everybody? Mr. J here, and allow me to introduce myself as a digital artist. For the entirety of my life, art and drawing have been a passion for me. What started out as a hobby as a little kid has now grown into something that I do semi-professionally as a comic book and commission artist. Through the hundreds and thousands of hours that I've spent cultivating my craft, you can say I've learned a few things along the way. Some things I've learned myself, and some things I've been taught by industry professionals. And though I get a lot of praise for my talents, I know that I wouldn't be here where I am today, at the point that I'm at today, without practice and the assistance from others. Because art isn't half as much of a talent as it is a skill. Talent comes naturally. It's something that you're born with. Skill, on the other hand, requires devotion, patience to learn and cultivate your craft. And with all things born of skill, the more you practice, the more you learn, the more boundlessly you can improve. That's why I find it important to pass along what I know, as others did to me, to help me grow and help me realize my potential as an artist. See, my goal here on YouTube is to help motivate, inspire, and empower you to take your art to the next level. In today's video, throughout my time spent in Procreate, everybody's favorite drawing app on the iPad, I've compiled a list of tips and tricks that I believe to be underutilized or little known features within the program to help you with your day-to-day art. I've compiled today's list by both word of mouth and personal discovery. I'm capping today's list off at 5 because, well, let's face it, if I were to put everything that I knew in one video, it would be extremely long, extremely boring, and you probably wouldn't watch all of it. If you are interested in more videos such as in-depth tutorials on layer and layer properties, or creating your very own brush sets to help you with your artistic endeavors or generate income, well then stay tuned by hitting that subscribe button as I continue to pass my knowledge along to you with focused tips and tricks, tutorials, time-lapse art, as well as product reviews. One of the more common remarks that I hear about Procreate, both by those who are familiar with the program and newcomers, is that they really like the drawing experience. However, they don't feel like they can achieve as much as they could with, full-blown programs such as Photoshop and Coral Painter and Clip Studio Paint. And that makes sense when you first open the app, because generally with those large programs, you see your canvas and then you have a whole bunch of different tool palettes and toolbars all around. It's a very underwhelming experience the first time you open it up. However, you have to remember that Procreate isn't a full-blown program, it is an app. So it's very touch-friendly, it's a very streamlined experience, and a lot of the tools that you may be familiar with in those larger programs are still there. You just have to do a little digging to find them. Alright, so first off, one of the very first things is right in the very beginning of the app. Right here, we always have the sketchbooks, or the galleries, as you would like to call them in Procreate. But this makes the very first thing on the list because this is actually something that I only recently discovered a few months ago. And it just kind of blew my mind that I never knew this feature after months and months of using this app. It's a very simple thing. I feel like I should have known it right away, and I really only discovered it by accident. But right in here, you have all of your projects open. Now, if ever you want to open up a picture and show it off, you don't want any accidental presses. You don't want people going through, one by one through your gallery, having to go back and forth, opening up a new project, worrying about them making, a smudge mark or whatever on your final artwork. To fix this, all you do is a pinch open, and this will open the program right into basically like a gallery mode. This is the final image, and as you can see, you can just scroll. You can scroll through your entire library of your artworks. You can hand it off to people, they can view it, they can look at it, and when you're done, pitch to close, and you go right back there. Alright, so diving deeper into the selection tool. If I select the tool and we go into freehand, obviously we know that we can freehand like so. Tap on the node to complete. Another thing we can do is we can actually use polylines. So for whatever reason, if you want to make straight lines and go through, you can make selections like this. Now another thing that I feel like a lot of people don't know, I see people when they mess up on selections, they tend to just redo their selection and redo it more carefully. You actually don't have to do that. Right here in the add, as long as you have add turned on, you can go in and you can add more to your selection. So see here, I cut off the foot. You can come in here in freehand, tap the circle, and it has been added. Right here, the cape's missing out of the selection a little bit. Tap it, it's added. And a little bit of Stormbreaker there, got missed. There we go. His finger. And a little bit more Stormbreaker got missed. And a little more. But just like that, added all the selections without having to redo the entirety of the selection. Very powerful tool. And of course, if you want to remove anything, you can go to the remove key and say we don't want the head of Stormbreaker at all in the selection. Tap, and now as you can see, it is no longer a part of the selection. Alright, now one of the more often questions that I get about Procreate is how to import brushes. Now this might be a weird one on the list, but I do get the question all the time. Even though I get it all the time, it is very simple. Procreate has made it very simple and very user-friendly for you to import brushes. So heading over to the program here is swipe up, and whatever program you have saved, whether you use Dropbox, the actual Files app, or in my case I use OneDrive all the time, wherever you have it saved, you want to open it up in the side like this. So once you have it open, all you have to do is press and hold, drag it on over to wherever it is you want it. There it is. It'll load for a little bit, and there it is. Now if you pull down from the top, you can hit the press button, maybe add a folder called favorites, and there you have a favorites folder where you can drag all of your brand new brushes right into however you want. Of course, you can share that, delete it, whatever you want to do. Pretty easy. Also worthy of note is you can duplicate and share brushes. Duplicating would be great if you're going to alter the brush at all. If you go into the settings here and you're going to change any of these, I would recommend duplicating that brush before. That way you never lose it. Alright, and then the same method works as well for palettes. As you know, color palettes are out there as well. People create color palettes and offer them for purchase online, or they can share them however you want. But if you happen to have a color palette, all you have to do, same method, drag, drop, and there you go. It'll load. Bam, got a new color palette. Moving on. Alright, now we're going to talk about a subject where it's going to help bridge the gap between jumping from a full-blown program to the app. And those who are coming from full-blown programs are going to be used to something very powerful known as keyboard shortcuts. Now, obviously, this being a streamlined app, we don't have keyboard shortcuts. But that doesn't mean that Procreate falls short in shortcut categories. Basically, all of the keyboard shortcuts have been streamlined into gesture controls. Now, if you come up here to the Actions wrench, you can see this tab right here called Gesture Controls. And in here, you have all these different gesture controls for a ton of different selections. This is where you are going to find a lot of the shortcuts that are missing from having keyboard input. And as you can see, by default, a lot of these are turned off. And it's for pretty good reason. It would get confusing right off the bat. So if you're just pressing the screen and things keep on popping up and you don't know why. So Procreate really just kind of leaves it up to you to delve into these settings and figure them out. So one of the very first things that I like to show is the quick menu. And I have this set to touch and hold. When you have it turned on, you can also change the delay. So you can make it a shorter delay, or you can make it an extremely long delay of 1.5 seconds. Now it's good to keep in mind while you are setting these that there is a single touch function. So you don't want to have your touch and hold function so short that it's going to be easily manipulated with a single touch. So I like to keep it around 0.30 seconds. But this is a very cool tool. And if I can show you, so we go back to the canvas here. Basically, if I press and hold, now I've got 6 shortcuts. Now, each one of these is changeable. If you press and hold, you can change these actions to pretty much anything that there is. You've got the transform tool in there, which is coming up, toggle the layer visibility, all of these options. You can even put your brushes in there, which is pretty cool. I haven't used that one yet. I'm still used to just grabbing the brushes, but all kinds of things. You got your quick shape, previous frame, all kinds of things. Pretty much anything that you can do in the program, you can assign to 6 shortcut keys. So if you're here and you're new from a full-blown program, definitely delve into this. Customize that however you want. That's going to make your life easier and more familiar to what you're used to on digital art. All right, another quick gesture is going to be copy and paste. So say we make a selection of Batwoman here, and we just want to quickly copy and paste it. 3 fingers down, swipe. Bring up this menu, cut and paste, copy all, copy and paste. She's going to do it automatically on a new layer, and it will have it selected. I unselected it, but there you go. And as you can see, another gesture control right there is the magnets. If I have the magnets turned on, it still lets me move it wherever I want to, but you see the guideline comes up, and that kind of gives it a little bit of stickiness in case you want to keep it on a level with other things. If you want to place it perfectly in line with other things, it changes at 15 degrees as you move it around. Okay, another gesture that can be utilized with these 3 tools up here. You've got your paintbrush, your smudge tool, and your erase tool. Now let's find a brush that's going to have some very hard textures to it. Let's go ahead and go with this Aurora brush. Yeah, so it's going to illustrate the point very well. Let's change it to like a pink. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay some color down here, and this is just for illustrative purposes. I'm not ruining the photo at all, but as you can see, this brush has a very heavy texture to it. All right, so now as you can see, if I try to erase this back, it's going to have a very hard edge to it, which is basically going to throw off the pattern that we have of the brush, which defeats kind of the purpose of using the brush in the first place. This can be very frustrating, if you're trying to keep a unique look going. So what we can do, what Procreate allows us to do, if we go back into that brush and let's fluff out those edges again. What Procreate will allow us to do, with a push and hold, the erase tool and the smudge tool both use the same brush sets as your brush. So if you click and hold on the erase tool like I just did, it's going to copy the last brush that you were using onto the erase tool. And now, as you can see, while I start to erase, it's going to be with the pattern of that brush, which is going to give us a more natural erase line. And this works going on to the smudge tool as well. Now when we smudge, it's going to be, as you can see right there, with the same pattern. It's going to have, which makes for more natural blends. Back to the erase that back, press and hold, back to the current brush. Very useful tool. All right, and now I'm going to show you a useful way of sorting through layers. Anybody who uses digital art probably uses a lot of layers. That's really the most powerful tool in a digital artist's art bag. So while we're doing a lot of layers, sometimes it can get confusing what's on what layer. Now Procreate, if we go back into the actions and back into gesture controls, has the easier way for us to select layers. Go into layer select. Now we can see with a single touch, I have selected to layer select. Now what this will do, if we go back, I can touch with my Apple Pencil all I want. It's not going to do anything. But if I touch with a finger, you saw that pop up and go away. Now if I touch in an area that has multiple layers, it'll show me the layers that are in that section. So if I press and then just kind of move it around, now I can kind of search for areas that have multiple layers, and from here I can select that layer, and now whatever I lay down, it's going to be on that layer. Now keep in mind, single touch at first is going to be assigned to the eyedropper tool. So if you change that, you're going to be taking away your eyedropper tool, but you can easily assign it to something else, which eyedropper is also selected to the little eye icon there, which for me is easy enough. I'd like to have that quick reference guide for layers. If I'm trying to get to, the skin there, the flatting right there, boom, am I already on it? And right there, it'll show you I'm on. If I want to get to the background, click on the background right there, I'm on the background. And that's a very time-saving trick. Sometimes you can just go delve through those layers and really get lost among those layers. And on that note, another trick with layer selection is, say you want to see nothing but this glow that's around Captain Marvel right now. The check mark that's right here, press and hold, everything's gone but that layer. Press and hold again, everything comes back. We want to look at the flats, press and hold, everything's gone. Press and hold again, everything's back. We want to take a look at our sketch layers, press and hold, there's the sketch, press and hold again, everything is back. All right, and one last tip for gesture controls, and I know that this gesture section is getting really long, but this is where a lot of the things that I believe get missed upon and the most important time-saving tools are. So coming up to the color wheel, if we go to the color wheel over here, I usually always use color palettes, but little tip in the wheel. So if we wanted to pick a fine-tuned color here in the wheel, it's kind of small and it makes it a little difficult to find that finer color. Quick fix, pinch out, and you expand your color wheel and you have a much broader selection area to choose from. Squeeze back in, change your spectrum, go back in, quick and easy, just like that. All right, and then the big thing for me as a comic book artist, the big tool that I see that a lot of people don't know about, probably about 100% of people that I talk to about the app are unaware that this tool is even available, is the perspective tool. If we go into the actions tab here, and then we tab across to our canvas, you can see that we have animation assist and then drawing guide. It's currently toggled off. If we toggle that on, you'll see that I've already had a guide drop in there, but basically this is a perspective tool. Now down here at the bottom, you can see we can change it. We've got a 2D grid, isometric grid. These are great for doing design, if you're doing lettering or t-shirt design. Great references for any kind of design where you need to keep your lines tight and matching. But we're going to take a look at perspective. Obviously there's symmetry in here as well, but in perspective, here at the very top, you can change the color of your lines however you want. Down here at the bottom, you have opacity and the thickness of your guidelines. And then where this tool starts to really become powerful is assisted drawing, but I'm going to show you that in a second. Right now we're working with a 1-point perspective. Now if we drop another point here, we can change it to 2-point perspective, and if we drop another point, we can add 3rd-point perspective. And these are changeable however you want, however you need to. You can change your horizon line however you want. Whatever you need to do, you can do it. Tap to delete, tap to delete. Change this right there, and I'm going to show you how easy it becomes to draw a cityscape with assisted drawing on. All right, now obviously you can see that, you know, this wouldn't be anything but like a rough draft, but you can see how easy it was for me to just throw together this landscape real quick, in which I can set to, you know, a bottom layer and then go over with, you know, final inks. It's a very powerful tool. A lot of people in the comic book industry will be used to something like this, and the fact that you can go from 1-point to 2-point and even 3-point perspective is something that I think is highly overlooked, and a huge assist to anybody who does, you know, cityscapes or even drawing the inside of a room. The bulk of the work I was able to do with drawing assist, very short time. You know, with pencil and paper, this would have taken, you know, a considerable more amount of time. So drawing assist with the perspective tool is a great tool. If you haven't used it, check it out, give it a shot. Well, everybody, that's going to wrap up my quick tips and tricks video. Hopefully this opportunity has afforded you some knowledge that's going to help you in the future with your own artistic process. Let me know down in the comment section if you have any questions. I promise to get back to any questions posed, as well as let me know if you have any requests for any future videos, as this is going to be the very first video in a series that I'm doing on Procreate. Any input that you guys have will help me create more of a viewer-centric playlist. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Feel free to follow me on any social media platform, as I post regularly on those platforms as well. If you haven't already, hit that like button, and as well, hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. Well, that's going to wrap it up for me. In the meantime, stay practicing, stay drawing, and I'll catch you on the flip. Deuces.